So let's take a look at our crop report here, folks. Speaking of jokes, the percentage in certain states of good to excellent is improving in certain areas. Colorado, you're looking at between your good and excellent is around 74% of your crops. That's not bad. 63 of that is your good rated crops. Let's just say this. The majority of the excellent rated crops are in Tennessee, Texas, Wisconsin, but I don't know how long that is actually going to stand up. This is as of August 4th. So next week's report is going to be a little bit different because that Wisconsin number of excellence might go down. We've had a couple storms roll through that area just in the past couple of days. 31% good in Ohio, 3% excellent. Their fair condition crops is 43% of the crops. 43% of their crops in Ohio are fair condition right now. What would help is dry weather, not as much rain, I guess I should say, and some heat. Poor condition crops in Ohio is at 17%, and very poor is at 6% in Ohio. Indiana, it's not much better. You've got 39% fair crops. Your good to excellent is a little bit higher than Ohio's, about 36% compared to Ohio's 34%. But still a large amount, 22% of very poor and poor condition corn crops across Illinois. Indiana, same story. Iowa, a little bit better. Total, about 66% of your crop is in good or excellent shape. The majority of it is good. Kansas, not bad. Could be better. A lot of fair. Probably a little bit higher than normal poor rating on crops. But Mario informed me today that every time we get rain in that area, flash flood watches go up everywhere. So obviously, if our crops are starting to favor the poor and the fair conditions, it's because we're seeing more rain and more floods, and it's stunting the growth of these crops. Kentucky, not bad. You're about 71% good and excellent condition on the corn crop there. Your fair is actually kind of low. 20% of your crop is in fair condition, and the poor to very poor is under 10%. So not bad as far as Kentucky is concerned. Michigan's about the same as Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. Minnesota, it's half and half there. Missouri, you've had a lot of flooding, so you've got about 44% of your crop that's in the fair and over 20% that's in the very poor to poor condition of corn crops. So some of these numbers, in my mind, just say that these particular farmers are limping into harvest. Let's take a look at soybean condition by percentage. We'll start in the states like Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. The good to excellent condition of crop of soybean in Ohio is 29%, 27 being good, 2 being excellent. 46% is in fair condition, so this is similar to their corn. And then you have about 25% that is rated very poor to poor. The majority of that being 18% in the poor category. This is the state of Ohio. So not good for the farmers there in Ohio. Let's jump up to Illinois. Again, your good to excellent rating is about 40%, 34% being good. Your fair is 36%. And the very poor to poor, again, comes in at 24% of your crops in Illinois. Indiana, same story. You're about 26% of crop that is very poor to poor condition. Your excellent and good condition crops are 36%, and the majority of your fields in your state are looking at about 38% fair condition crops. Iowa, not too bad on your soybeans. Kansas could be better, but the majority of your crop situation is in the fair, good, and excellent categories. Only 10% is rated poor to very poor. Kentucky also in good shape, 72% rated for good and excellent conditions. Michigan, not so much, but you're pretty much close to Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, with very low numbers in the good and excellent conditions. Minnesota, not terrible, not great. Missouri, Mississippi. Mississippi not doing bad, especially considering of all the flooding that we've had in the region. Missouri as well. 47% excellent and good is not terrible. 40% fair is, we'll see how it works. Nebraska, not bad. 70% is rated good and excellent. 25% is fair, and less than 6% is in very poor to poor shape. So for the most part, whatever numbers that these states that are suffering in the corn are also suffering in the soybean department as well. Texas and Tennessee being the best states as far as crops are. Tennessee, you're looking at right about 61% good, 16% excellent. So we're approaching almost 80% good, excellent crops. So we got winner out of Tennessee and Texas and Oklahoma are probably our three biggest winner states. Iowa, you're coming in a close 4. But Nebraska, Kansas, we're still on the fence. South Dakota, North Dakota, we're still on the fence. I mean, North Dakota is not bad. I mean, 63% good and excellent condition crops is great. 28% fair is not terrible. Under 10% rated very poor and poor. South Dakota, the same thing. But these are numbers as of August 4th. And we have reported on some storm damage in that region. Right now, this farm map is showing that the United States, for the most part, is farmable. Get out in those fields and work, as of August 4th, 2019. So when we do our next broadcast on Monday, I believe, actually Friday we have a broadcast, but on our Monday evening broadcast, we will have the updated report on the USDA, I believe, for the surveying of the crops, and we will hopefully get a better idea of what the yields possibly could turn out to be this year during harvest. If all these fields that were planted are actually producing crops, because I know that's a lot of concern with folks too. The fields might have been planted, but recent floods and continuing floods have prevented anything from growing. All right, and so a lot of talk about coal. I know here in the United States, a lot of our lawmakers are trying to make coal legal in most states of the United States. California and New York being the top 2 states, really leading that one there. But approvals for new coal mine construction in China have surged in 2019. Government documents showed with Beijing expecting consumption, the commodity, to rise in the coming years, even as it steps up its fight against smog and greenhouse gas emissions, which I might add, China does need to get a grip on their air pollution issue. I know a lot of you folks see a lot of articles throughout the internet, a lot of these folks wearing masks because the smog gets really thick. China is very heavily populated. But here we go. Maybe they need to invest more money in carbon capture to help with that air pollution, if anything. But long-term cuts in coal consumption are a part of the key part of China's energy, environment, and climate goals. But the 5-fold increase in the new mine approvals for the first half of 2019 suggests China's targets still provide ample room for shorter-term growth. China's energy regulator gave the go-ahead to build 141 million tons of new annual coal production capacity from January to June, compared to 25 million tons over the whole last year. So why are they more than quadrupling, right? The projects included new mines of the regions of Inner Mongolia, Xinjiang, Shaanxi, and Shaanxi that are part of national strategy to consolidate output at dedicated coal production bases, as well as expansions of existing collieries, the National Energy Administration documents showed. The NEA did not immediately respond to a request for comment, and Beijing aims to raise the share of non-fossil fuels and overall energy mix to 15% by the end of next year, for around 14.3% currently, and 20% by 2030. It cut the share of coal 59% last year, down from 68.5 in 2012. However, it is alarming that China's energy planning seems to be driving at roughly maintaining current levels of coal output for the coming decade or two, which is very hard to reconcile the goal of the Paris Agreement on climate change, he said. Especially given that oil and gas consumption is still increasing, it's imperative that coal use starts falling again after rebounding for the past 3 years. China's coal output rose about 2.6% in the first half of 2019 to 1.76 billion tons. Now, what I gather from this article here, basically, these experts are saying, look, if we're going to meet these Paris Agreement coal, CO2 emissions reductions, we have to start scaling down the use of coal right now by year's end. But according to this article, it appears that China is increasing the permits for building new coal plants and coal mines over the next 2 decades. Well, that just doesn't make any sense. If experts are saying, if this man-made thing is real, like they're trying to say it is, that they have till the end of the year to start cutting back on the use of coal, but yet China says we're building more coal plants, we're building more coal mines, and we're not reducing the amount of coal that we use. So the only thing I can tell you folks is that this is another, as far as I'm concerned, and I know this is a hard pill to swallow because a lot of us are upset with China right now. But when I see a entity like China saying, we're going full steam ahead with coal, we're going to continue to use the same amounts that we've always used and then some, and yes, we'll still commit to the Paris Climate Agreement. So does that mean that they are saying that out of the side of their mouth as they continue to burn coal? Or are they saying that because they know that coal is not the reason why that the earth is warming, and China realizes that CO2 is a very small trace gas to the atmosphere? And maybe also China understands that man is not causing climate change. I mean, to me, if you're going to participate in a climate agreement that says that CO2 is the culprit, you would think that you would scale down your coal use, but they're ramping it up almost 6 times as much as what they were using or what they want to do. Maybe that's the balance, right? The U.S. is dumb and we're going to stop using coal while China and other countries stay warm during the winter and use coal and natural gas. And by the way, we all know natural gas is cleaner than coal. I mean, let's face it. We don't disagree that these coal mines, these coal plants that have emissions that go into the atmosphere, they do impact as far as pollution goes, air quality. I'm not going to sit here and act like that we don't contribute to things like that, or drinking water, or how clean our parks and wildlife preserves are, and lakes and oceans. I'm not going to sit here and act like that man doesn't contribute to that. But it certainly doesn't have anything to do with the climate, because if it did, China would not be increasing the use of coal plants, nor would they continue to stay at the levels that they're currently at now if they're expected to drop. Again, an expert says we need to start cutting back the use of coal by the end of this year, but yet the Chinese government is planning to continue to build coal mines and coal plants through the next 2 decades. Interesting stuff there, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick little message, and this time I will go ahead and mute the mic.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.